LeBron James just signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. His new locker room includes Jaylen Brown, the same man who once looked at Bronny James and told two WNBA stars he didn't think the kid belonged in the NBA. Now the two men have to share a team, a bench, and a championship goal. And LeBron isn't pretending the comment never happened. Free agency in July 2026 delivered one of the biggest moves in recent NBA history. LeBron James reportedly agreed to join the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-year, $8 million deal. Within hours, the internet did what the internet always does. It went digging, and it found something. Hours after the announcement, an old Jaylen Brown clip started circulating again and immediately created awkward vibes. The clip was from July 2024, Summer League, Las Vegas. Bronny James had just been drafted by the Lakers, and Brown was sitting courtside. Brown was at a Summer League game soon after Bronny was drafted and somehow was caught on camera, saying something negative about LeBron's son. "I don't think Bronny is a pro," is what Brown appears to say. He wasn't alone while sitting courtside with Angel Reese and Kizre Gondrezick. Brown appeared to say, "I don't think Bronny is a pro." Lip readers went to work immediately, and one popular breakdown had the exchange going even further. "I don't think Bronny is a pro," Brown supposedly said, to which Kizre responded, "I think he'll be on the G League team for sure." Lip readers further decoded the Celtics star, saying, "I don't think so. I think because of his name, he'll be on the Lakers." Angel Reese, sitting right next to them, said nothing. She wasn't part of the exchange, but the cameras caught her in frame anyway, and that alone was enough to drag her name into a story she never asked to be part of. Reese didn't have much input in what JB said, but her presence at the supposed crime scene was enough to put her in a bad light from LeBron's perspective. Brown didn't wait long to respond publicly. Hours after the clip blew up, he posted on social media, writing that it's a flex to have your son alongside you in the NBA. He wasn't alone while sitting courtside with Angel Reese and Kizre Gondrezick. Brown appeared to say, "I don't think Bronny is a pro." Lip readers went to work immediately. It wasn't, because LeBron James has one rule that never bends. You don't talk about his kids and expect silence back. Fast forward to February 2026, Lakers-Celtics game, locker room, reporters circling. Someone asked LeBron about his relationship with Brown, and instead of giving the safe answer, he went straight at it. "Our relationship has been pretty respectful," LeBron said, before adding, besides the S. He said about Bronny at Summer League. "But other than that, we've been all right, He wasn't done. A follow-up question asked if the two had actually moved past it. "We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be all right." I think he went on social media and said something about it. "It's all good, but Bronny got a long way to go." But that's another story. But the kid, listen, JB is doing his expletive. Watch the tape back and you'll notice something. Throughout the exchange with the reporter, James was flashing smiles, signifying that although he remembers Brown's comments, he surely doesn't hold any ill will against the former Boston Celtic. That's the thing about LeBron. He doesn't drop it, but he also doesn't let it define the whole relationship. He puts it on the record, smiles through it, and moves on to the next question. That's what explaining himself has looked like for 2 straight years, calling it out, then immediately softening the blow. Now those two are teammates, same locker room, same bench, same championship chase. And the tension that started as a courtside whisper is about to be tested under the brightest lights in basketball. To understand why LeBron keeps bringing this up 2 years later, you have to go back to the exact moment it happened, because the context matters more than most people remember. It was July 16, 2024. Bronny James had just been drafted 55th overall by the Lakers, a pick that immediately triggered debate across the league. There is no denying that the entire sports world had an opinion regarding James's son being drafted in the second round of the 2024 NBA draft, with some saying he wouldn't be selected by any team if it wasn't for his father. So when Bronny took the floor at Summer League in Las Vegas, every set of eyes in that building was already sizing him up. He didn't do himself any favors that night. James, the number 55 pick in the 2024 NBA draft, had 2 points on 1 for 5 shooting, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 turnovers in 25 minutes in the Lakers' 88-74 loss against Boston. In 4 Summer League games, half in Vegas, half in the California Classic in Sacramento, James has shot 0 for 15 from 3-point range. Sitting courtside for that game was Jaylen Brown, fresh off winning Finals MVP with the Celtics just weeks earlier, alongside Kizre Gondrezick and Chicago Sky rookie Angel Reese. Brown was seated courtside at Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas for the Celtics Summer League game against the Lakers with his girlfriend, Kaisre Gondrazic, and Chicago Sky rookie Angel Reese. None of them knew the cameras had them in frame. Of course, the exchange wasn't meant to be captured and broadcast on social media for millions to see, but it was. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere, and lip readers across the internet were racing to decode exactly what Brown had said. The reaction split into two camps almost instantly. One side pointed out that Bronny's performance on the floor was doing more damage to his reputation than any whispered comment ever could. The other side zeroed in on Brown, a former Finals MVP, mocking a second-round rookie who'd been getting hammered by draft analysts for months already. Either way, the story had legs, and it clearly reached LeBron. But the comments clearly made their way back to LeBron, who was, of course, not appreciative of Brown's analysis of his son. Brown tried to get ahead of it that same night. Rather than deny or confirm what he'd said, he posted a message that read like damage control aimed directly at LeBron. He called Bronny playing alongside his father in the league a flex, said it reflected greatness and longevity, and insisted he looked forward to watching him develop. It was diplomatic. It was also notably posted only after the clip had already gone viral, not before. That timing is the whole reason this story has legs 2 years later. If Brown had led with support and only afterward got caught in an unflattering clip, this fades in a week. Instead, the sequence ran backwards. Private mockery caught on camera first, public support pasted on second. LeBron, more than almost anyone in professional sports, has spent 2 decades reading exactly that kind of sequence in real time, and he clearly filed it away. Because here's what's easy to miss in this whole saga. LeBron wasn't just annoyed on Bronny's behalf as a bystander. He was watching a locker room dynamic play out in real time that he'd need to navigate himself one day, and he had no idea back in July 2024 just how literally that would become true. 2 years before it happened, the man who'd eventually be his teammate was on record questioning whether his son belonged on an NBA floor at all. Bronny, for his part, has never publicly addressed the clip directly. He's kept his head down, kept working, and let the results speak, as much as they can for a two-way, developmental piece, still finding his role. His coaches, meanwhile, have been far more candid about where he actually stands. Lakers coach JJ Redick laid it out plainly on national radio, saying Bronny was being developed as a defensive stopper in the mold of Lou Dort, someone whose value would come from guarding the ball rather than scoring it. He's a development player. That's how we're looking at Bronny. He's certainly going to spend time with the Lakers. He will spend time as well in the G League, Redick said. That's a coach setting expectations. It's a far cry from a proven all-star, publicly writing him off before he'd played a single regular season minute. And that's exactly the distinction LeBron seemed to be drawing when he kept bringing the clip back up, months and then years after it happened. It wasn't really about basketball opinions. Plenty of people doubted Bronny's game, and LeBron never dragged their names into a press conference. It was about who got to say it, and when. Here's where the story gets interesting, because LeBron didn't handle this the way people expected. He didn't go silent. He didn't go scorched earth either. He did something in between, and he did it publicly. More than once. The first real airing came in that February 2026 locker room exchange after a Lakers-Celtics game. A reporter asked a fairly routine question about his relationship with Brown, and LeBron used it as an opening. Before he got to the compliment, he got to the complaint. They're playing great basketball, and it's because of him and the rest of those guys. He's taking that next step. Our relationship has been pretty respectful, besides the expletive he said about Bronny at Summer League. James said via Celtics on CLNS. Notice the sandwich structure there. Compliment, jab, compliment. That's a pattern LeBron uses a lot. He'll praise someone's game while making it clear he hasn't forgotten a personal slight. It lets him say his piece without turning it into an actual public feud. TMZ picked up the exchange and broke down exactly what was happening in that clip. Their read was straightforward. Translation? We're good, but I heard you. That's about as clean a summary of LeBron's whole approach to this as you'll find anywhere. He wasn't trying to start something. He was making sure everyone knew he hadn't forgotten something. And then he did the thing that made the whole exchange land differently than a typical subtweet war. He pivoted straight into praise. Real praise, the kind LeBron doesn't hand out casually. Still, James didn't go scorched earth. He balanced the jab with praise, saying Brown deserves to be in the MVP conversation this season. He went as far as saying he didn't understand why Brown's name wasn't getting more MVP buzz. Given what Brown had been doing for a Celtics team dealing with a season of roster turnover, he argued that the former Celtics star deserved greater MVP consideration. After carrying Boston through a season of major roster turnover, Brown, when he heard about the comment, didn't get defensive. He didn't bring up Bronny again. He just accepted the compliment for what it was. Brown responded by calling James praise and honor. No follow-up jab, no clapback, no attempt to relitigate the Summer League clip. Just gratitude. That reaction told you something important about where Brown's head was at going into this offseason. He wasn't looking to keep the beef alive. If anything, all the evidence points to Brown actively trying to build bridges with LeBron, well before either of them knew they'd end up teammates. When Philadelphia went shopping for a third star to pair with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, Brown didn't sit on the sidelines. Jaylen Brown actually spoke to his agent, Rich Paul, during the process. That's not a guy holding a grudge. That's a guy actively working to recruit the father of the kid he once mocked. And Brown wasn't the only one making calls. Maxey and Embiid were doing their own recruiting in parallel. James was recruited by Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. He spoke to both of them. Jaylen Brown actually spoke to his agent, Rich Paul, during the process. And the only coach that LeBron James spoke to during this 3-week-long process was Sixers head coach Nick Nurse. 3 separate stars, 3 separate lines of communication, all converging on one signature. And Brown had a direct hand in it despite everything hanging over their history. The recruitment worked. Philadelphia beat out serious competition from teams LeBron had history with, including a possible reunion in Miami or Cleveland. Rich Paul, LeBron's longtime agent, explained afterward why going back to old stomping grounds didn't appeal the way it might have. When you've been to a place before, when you've won in a place before, if you go back, it may not be the same. You kind of want to leave those memories where they were. So Philadelphia won out. And the man who once said he didn't think Bronny belonged in the league had helped make the call that put LeBron in his own locker room. Once the ink was down, the reaction across Philadelphia was immediate. And it wasn't just about Brown. The whole roster had history with LeBron, some of it a lot less diplomatic than a courtside whisper. Start with Maxey. He was reportedly one of the driving forces behind the recruitment, and when the news broke, he couldn't contain himself. Tyrese Maxey, also a Rich Paul client, could barely contain himself on his Instagram story. He captioned the video of his celebration, "I feel like Coach Cal," in reference to his college coach John Calipari. It's an appropriate feeling for Maxey, who was very involved in the recruiting process. According to ESPN's Dave McMenamin, no baggage there. Just pure excitement from a young star who just landed the biggest name of his generation. Embiid is a different story entirely, and honestly, his history with LeBron might be even messier than Brown's. Back in 2018, during LeBron's original free agency tour that ended with him signing in Los Angeles, Embiid had fired off a tweet drawing a hard line around Lakers history. Taking to X on June 30, 2018, Embiid declared that the Lakers would forever be the team of Magic Johnson and the late great Kobe Bryant. The Lakers are forever going to be Kobe's and Magic's team. That tweet sat dormant for years. Then LeBron signed with Philadelphia, and the internet did exactly what it did with Brown's Bronny clip, dug it right back up. Fans didn't hold back once they connected the dots. Between Embiid's old jab and Brown's old comment, both aimed at the James family, both now sitting in the same locker room as their target. One fan summed up the entire situation. "Brown called his kid trash. Can't wait for this to all explode," wrote another. And he went to ring chase with this, a third wrote, adding some laughing emojis. Another prediction was even more direct about what was coming. Sixers gonna need a serious airing of grievances low. The pile-on didn't stop there. Fans started stacking Brown's and Embiid's comments together. As a match set of red flags, Bron finna be sharing a changing room with a guy who was slandering his sperm, and a guy who wrote off his Lakers tenure before it started. One user on X remarked crude. Sure, but it captured exactly why this signing carries more tension under the surface than your average free agency splash. Even Bryce Harper, the baseball star, not a basketball name at all, got looped into the Philadelphia celebration coverage, a small sign of just how big this signing was for the city, regardless of the awkward history sitting underneath it. None of this seemed to slow LeBron down. Analysts who broke down the fit afterward focused almost entirely on the basketball, not the baggage. Now that he's sharing a team with Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid, it's unlikely that LeBron will ever be the lone healthy star in Philadelphia. Notably, those three co-stars all play a different position from James, which makes him an ideal positional fit on his new team. So on paper, it's a clean fit. Off paper, LeBron is walking into a locker room with a co-star who mocked his son on camera, and another co-star who once told the world the Lakers belonged to somebody else forever. And he signed up for it anyway, at 41 years old, chasing one more shot at a title. That says something about how LeBron actually weighs these things. He clearly doesn't forget. The Brown comment proves that, brought up unprompted more than a year and a half after it happened. But he also doesn't let old words override a chance to win. He spent 2 decades building rosters around talent first, and Philadelphia handing him Embiid, Maxey, and Brown in one deal was too good to pass on Bronny's honor. So where does this actually leave things heading into the season? Because explaining himself isn't a one-time press conference. It's an ongoing thing LeBron is going to have to manage every single day he shares a locker room with Brown. The early signs point toward exactly what LeBron predicted back in February. They'll be all right. Reporting on the signing repeatedly circled back to the idea that whatever tension existed didn't factor into the actual basketball decision. Reports suggested that LeBron and Brown's past issues would not affect James's mindset during free agency. The Sixers had a shot just like the other finalists. That's about as close to a formal closing of the chapter as you'll get from league sourcing. Coverage out of Philadelphia leaned even further into that read, treating the whole saga as settled business before training camp had even opened. Clearly, the hatchet is buried. LeBron has moved past the Bronny comment and must be excited to take the floor with a player that he believed was underrated throughout the 2025-2026 NBA season. But buried doesn't mean forgotten, and that's really the through line of this entire story. LeBron brought the comment up unprompted in February, months after it happened. He brought it up again with a smile, but he brought it up. That's not a man who's moved on in the sense of erasing it. That's a man who's decided the comment doesn't get to define the relationship, but it also doesn't get deleted from the record. Brown, for his part, has never walked back the substance of what he said that night at Thomas and Mack Center. He clarified his intent, praised Bronny's potential, called it a flex to have a father-son duo in the league. But he never said the clip was wrong, never claimed the lip readers got it backwards. What he's done instead is spend the better part of 2 years demonstrating, through actions rather than statements, that whatever he thought of Bronny in July 2024 doesn't extend to how he feels about playing alongside LeBron. He picked up the phone during recruitment. He accepted LeBron's MVP praise without deflecting. He showed up to do the work of being a good teammate before he'd even worn the jersey. Bronny is still very much in the picture here too, even if he's the quietest voice in the entire saga. He remains under contract with the Lakers, not the 76ers, which means the two rosters that once collided at Summer League are now separated again. Bronny developing on one coast, his father chasing a ring on the other. LeBron's son is under contract with the Los Angeles Lakers, so it would require Philadelphia to send something in return to get Bronny. Whether that ever changes is its own storyline, but for now, the Bronny comment lives on as history between his father and his new teammate, rather than a daily locker room dynamic between Brown and Bronny himself. What's left then is a season where every camera in Philadelphia will be watching for the smallest sign of friction between LeBron and Brown, a delayed high five, a missed rotation, anything that can be read as residual tension from a 2-year-old clip. And knowing LeBron, he'll probably bring it up one more time himself in some interview with that same half smile, just to remind everyone he hasn't forgotten. Not as an attack, just as a fact he's decided to keep on the record, right alongside the fact that he still went out and signed up to play with the guy anyway. Because that's really the answer here. LeBron didn't need Brown to apologize on his knees, and he didn't need to pretend the comment never stung. He just needed to say it out loud on his own terms, enough times, that everyone understood exactly where he stood, and then get back to building a roster that could win him one more championship before his career runs out.